All right, a little bit of breaking news, and truly breaking. We didn't have a pre-record for this. I recorded it probably 15 minutes before you were watching it. CJ Wiley commits to Florida State. They pick up a 4-star wide receiver over, let's just be honest, the dominant in-state program, the Georgia Bulldogs, a complete shocker. Before we get into the kid, before we get into what it means, before we get into the Battles End or Ron Dugans or any of the other stuff, recruiting, I don't want to say it's washed, right? I'm doing a recruiting commit reaction. And so stay tuned or stick with me for a minute. But recruiting to me feels so washed in so many ways because you almost always know where a kid's going. You can almost always read the visits. There are prediction machines and, crystal balls, and all those things are fine. I don't have a problem with any of that. It makes my job a lot easier because you almost always know where a kid's going, and you can skip out on having to do pre-records when you think a kid's going to pick Georgia, and you don't have to do extra work. But there are moments, and today is absolutely one of them, where a kid shocks everyone. CJ Wiley, a 4-star wide receiver out of Georgia, had only UGA folks at his commitment, at his announcement today. There were no Florida State people there, and Tallahassee's not super far from most places in Georgia. And so getting somebody there, if you knew that he was about to commit, would not have been that big of a deal. I looked around at the other sites that cover recruiting, and no one had pre-stories ready. Nobody had scouting reports ready. Nobody had anything ready for this. We didn't have a pre-record. Nobody did. This was a true shocker, and massive shout out before we get into the kid to Mike Norvell, Ron Dugans, the offensive staff, and of course the Battles End. You're not pulling something like this off without having an elite NIL program. Won't do a full plug for him, but we've begged you for months and months and months to go check out thebattlesend.com. If you enjoyed today, if you're happy about the result, maybe consider going and checking out thebattlesend.com and maybe just a one-time donation, a $4 donation for a 4-star, whatever. It doesn't have to be something huge, but I think today might be the day you should consider it more than others. All right, he's a 6'3", 6'4", 210-pound wide receiver. On3 has him listed at 6'3.75", 4-star out of Milton, Georgia. The number 43 overall player on3. I think he's their number 6th overall wide receiver. 136 on the composite. He's 116 in the on3 industry rankings. And again, I'll talk about the kid a little bit more, but UGA was a heavy, heavy favorite here. They had all 3 crystal balls, 2 of which were placed in the last couple of days after his official visit. Listen to the crowd's reaction when he says Florida State. And no one there expected this.
So, first off, I want to thank God, my teammate, my family, and with all that being said, I'll be going to the University of Florida State. Go noles. There it is!
Yeah! As excited, as shocked, as surprised as we are right now when we saw the tweets starting to come through from Hayes Foss and others, everybody in that room, all those Georgia folks were blown away. I saw some people, our guy Brooks Austin, who's been here on the show, said that CJ Wiley is one that absolutely shocked him, doesn't get surprised too much in recruiting anymore, but one that absolutely blew his mind. And that stuff just doesn't happen much. It's fun. I'll say this, it is going to be a battle from now until signing day to keep him. I think when you steal from Georgia in back-to-back days, which Wynn and Wiley now, Georgia's going to pony up. And we've seen what Georgia can do late in cycles. But as of today, it's a good day because you'd rather have him committed to you than have to steal from Georgia. I know a lot of you are going to comment, it doesn't matter until signing day. I agree. I get it. Signing day is where it happens the most. However, you'd rather have him in your tool basket, to quote UF's idiot defensive coordinator, than having to steal him out of UGA's. That is without a doubt the position you'd rather be in. You'd rather be in pole position. If you lose them later, you get it. It is what it is. But you'd rather have them with you now than having to steal from Georgia. Kid's got a huge frame, 6'4", he's huge. Great physical tools. He's got a really, really good catch radius. He runs after the catch very well. He ran track. He ran a 10.9 100 meter, a 22.62 200 meter. So he's quick, even with that elite size. His dad was an all-SEC player, and his dad also played in the NFL. So you like that. He's got that pedigree. He's got that understanding. Not only is he a two-sport athlete, not only is he incredibly physically gifted, but he also has a dad that played at that highest level. And you like that. You like kids that kind of understand and have that upbringing, have that training of, hey, this is what it's going to take for you to get there. And, not only do they have their coaches in high school and college, but you also have coach at home kind of beating it into them and into their minds like this is what's going to have to happen for you to be elite. And he has been elite. His junior season, 68 receptions, 1,473 yards, 14 touchdowns. Excited to see what he can look like his senior season upcoming, but he's all in all a very productive player, one of the better wide receiver prospects that Florida State has gotten out of the state of Georgia in the last, I don't even know how many years, in quite a while. Really, really good wide receiver prospect, and Florida State's pulled some really good wide receiver prospects recently. Wiley is somebody who could be really, really elite for the Noles. I know we speak in hyperbole a lot. We get really hyped up and we talk about the upside of every kid when they commit. And, oh, man, this is what this kid could do, and this is who he could be like. Man, 6'4", freakish ability with a catch radius and a really, really nice run after the catch as well. He is comparable to the big wide receivers that we've had here before. And I don't have to go through the list or name every single one of them, but he's got that kind of talent. He is potentially your true number one for multiple years. He's that good. Now, you got to develop, you got to get him in, you got to hold on to him, all those things, absolutely. But his ceiling truly is that good. He can be an elite talent for Florida State for multiple seasons. He's the kind of guy that with a really good senior year could certainly come in and contribute as a freshman when he's here in 2025 if Florida State can get him to put pen to paper. There's a lot of talk about Ron Dugans, Mike Norvell, the recruiting at the wide receiver position. There's questions about guys that have gotten away or aren't going to commit, or what's this guy going to do, or what's this Florida legacy going to do? Where's he going to end up? Can they pull any wide receivers in besides McCutcheon, who you feel really good about? Man, this was a shock and a well-deserved, well-needed shock for this recruiting class. I think you want to bring in multiple high-level wide receivers. I feel pretty good about where they're at with McCutcheon, but you were kind of wondering where's that next one going to come from. Feels like VB3 is trending towards Florida. Felt like Wiley was trending towards Georgia. Can you pull Lockett or one of the 5 stars? Not sure that you feel super confident on doing any of that. And the battle's end, Florida State, Mike Norvell just reminded you, hey, just hold still. We've got some things up our sleeves. We're going to accomplish a few things here and there. We're going to get some stuff done that maybe you weren't expecting. Maybe some things that you weren't counting on, we can kind of get done. Now, are there more surprises in store? Are there additional targets that you're going to be able to close on? How did the Josh Moore recruitment impact this? Do you maybe feel a little more confident there now that you just pulled this rabbit out of your hat? Are you going to pull another one out? Not saying that that's something that's going to happen. Not saying that that is coming tomorrow by any means. I'd love to be back on here and talking with you about it if it does. But maybe it's not all about the crystal balls. Maybe it's not all about the 88% I think I saw on 3 had UGA to land this kid going into the commitment. Crystal ball buster, RPM machine buster. Yeah, shout out Mike Norvell and his staff and again, Ingram Smith, the battle's end, the work that they do. You're not pulling this off without all of those pieces working in tandem. Derek Ray, all of the support staff at Florida State. Man, what a massive, massive, massive pickup. Before we go, I will give a little bit of love to gotspears.com. If you're celebrating right now, if you want to go and get a $100 spear, you can do that for a very limited time. Go to gotspears.com and he will get you hooked up. There's all kind of different options. I've got my 6-foot spear. I've got the one with the torch. It's a little over $100, but if you're just going to hang yours inside your house, you don't need the torch. Go to gotspears.com. Let my guy John get you taken care of. A ton of options on there. There's the tomahawk inside of the gator head, all of those things. gotspears.com. We appreciate them for their support. All right, I appreciate you guys tuning in. We did another video this morning on Solomon Thomas, him shutting things down, maybe not quite shutting things down, but locking things up, and why I feel confident about where the Noles stand. Again, not shutting things down. He hasn't done that just yet, but go check out that video on Solomon Thomas if you haven't seen it just yet.